From the Grammys to the Bharat Ratna, few men have embarked on a musical journey that has been so triumphant in its outcome as my guest tonight. In the history of Indian music, his place is unique. Vanguard, guru, and now a legend. Although his professional life has always been on the ascendant, few people know the personal life, the unusual love journey of this Indian music maestro. Tonight, it is my honor to have a rendezvous with the preeminent Pandit Ravi Shankar and his wife Sukanya, joined by their gifted daughter Anoushka.
Just let your thoughts, your dreams unfold. Let's talk of love, of tales untold. Speak so I can see your soul.
Congratulations, Panditji. It's a small word for the pride we feel in your receiving the Bharat Ratna. How does it make you feel?
It's a great feeling. You know, having received a lot of awards elsewhere all over the world, I have always been very happy getting them, but getting at your home by your own government, given by the president, it was something very special. And I was even happier that I got it while I'm alive.
How did you feel, Sukanya, when you heard the news?
You know, he called me in the puja room and very seriously tried to tell me, I have bad news for you. Looking at his eyes, I knew he was fooling me. Then he said, Mr. Narayanan just called and he said that I've got the Bharat Ratna. It was a very touching moment.
But tell me something, Panditji, when you receive so many awards, does the joy diminish a little bit? Is it as exciting?
You know, the excitement is in the beginning, then it wears off. And what I always feel that somehow is very strange when I see people's attitude change. They think all of a sudden they discover and there's a lot of hullabaloo about it, but it makes me think, does it make me a better musician, accepting temporary, publicity and all that?
But Panditji, when one looks at the chronology of your life and works, the sheer range of it all. I mean, you started with dancing, then the sitar, composing ragas, film music, teaching, the list is endless. But I want to ask you, what area of your music life has given you the most satisfaction?
To tell you the truth, playing the sitar and having an audience who really are with me. When I feel that from the listener, I think those are the highest moments in my life.
You just recently written your autobiography, Ragmala. It's an extraordinary book by an extraordinary man. What was it like reliving your past, the pains, the joys, the relationships? What was it like?
It was difficult, when you think such a long span of life and with so much activity, it was very difficult. I mean, you feel relieved in many ways, but it also brings back all the painful memories and along with the joyful memories too.
Panditji, your professional life has always been on the ascendant. But for many years, your personal life was very rocky, wasn't it?
Very. Absolutely. You're right.
Why was it like that?
Well, anything you say in this aspect sounds like a cliche, but it is the artist's life. When you become popular, well known, you're admired and you travel like mad. So it's bound to have its effect, having relationships and then trying to break off. And it goes on and on, So I went through all that for many years.
You have said that your life for many years was like, it was a butterfly style of existence. What did you mean by that?
Well, exactly what I...
What do you mean by butterfly?
That's what a butterfly does. Goes from one flower to the other flower and, But the butterfly life, can, for an artist, not only me, any artist, it does come along with the fame and being spoiled. You get more opportunity of bringing out all your feelings, So that's what happened for many, many years in my life afterwards.
It was at that time that you met Sukanya. Tell me about the first meeting.
Yeah, you better say that.
Actually, it was his niece Viji, who's a good friend of mine. So she said, "Will you come and play Tanpura for?"
Mm.
I said, "Wow, is he going to be in town?" Because I'd never met him. So we went to meet him, and there he came. I'll never forget that scene.
Tell
When
me.
he came down the staircase, this figure, and I was totally in awe of him, of course, being a great fan as well. I think it was instant love from my side.
What about you, Panditji? How did you feel when you first met Sukanya?
I said, wow. That's all I can think of. She looked so beautiful, innocent, and so bubbly with laughter, childlike quality, and she smiles a lot, as you see.
But you didn't pursue her for a long time.
Well, in my mind I did, but I did control myself as long as I could. But then,
I used to call him Uncle, Kaku.
so that put me off also a little.
So how
But I think, back of my mind somewhere I must have loved him, as a man, woman too, because I dreamt one day, to my shock, that that I was with him, and that it wasn't an uncle niece feeling.
did you tell him about it?
I told him much later.
Much later.
Much later.
After a long time, yeah.
Now he had to make the first move.
After that first meeting at the Royal Albert Hall, time passed.
We were, sort of friends, very close. I used to always look forward to meeting him, being with him, but nothing happened till about 78.
Okay, but you
Then
were
it
working
was-
in a bank.
Yes, I was working in a bank.
So
And he used to give different names every time he phoned. But all my friends recognized his voice, and it's Mr. Puri, Mr. Swami.
so then tell me, when did he express his feelings for you?
It was in 78 at a concert at Greenwich.
Greenwich.
He played my favorite raga, Yaman Kalyan.
Mm-hmm.
And in the intermission, he asked me, "Where are you sitting?" So I told him, to his right. And when he started the raga, he turned around and looked at me, and I was sold.
He was so.
Well,
You were married at that time, weren't you?
Yes, I was. More a marriage of convenience, I think, living there. I had to live there, and it was
an-
okay. It was all right. It would have existed, and it would have gone on like many marriages, I suppose, if I hadn't had the affair with Raviji.
Mm.
But once I found this love, I knew what I had was not true, and what was not. It was not what I wanted.
How did you deal with it?
I can't imagine how I dealt with it now, because it was, like leading two different lives. Very, very difficult. And also when I decided I wanted to have his child, and
This is something I want to talk to you about. Panditji had told you very clearly, he had been honest with you right at the beginning.
right through, he was honest.
He said that he wasn't going to marry you.
And he told me he had many girlfriends, and I was just one of them.
How did you feel?
I just loved him so much. I had no other alternative. Either I had to forget him or accept what he offered.
But it must have hurt you a lot.
I did. I saw all his girlfriends too.
I feel like running away from him. Honestly. Look, I'm going to be 80 next year, so almost. Let's talk about
How would you- But Panditji,
because my life has been a bit unusual, not exactly ethical, or so sometimes many people might be shocked, or what I mean. As much as possible, I didn't want to hurt anyone, or
I understand. So you said you wanted to have a child from him. You made up your mind.
I made up my mind, and
What did he feel?
he said he won't have anything to do with it, with the child, because he said, well, if you really want, fine, but I can't be responsible, I can't be here, I can't be tied down in any way. And I said, fine, I know that, and I want the child, and I'll take care of the child, and I'll bring her up. I was so sure I was going to have a daughter somehow. And that's how it started, yeah. And she was a very wanted child.
Yes. But he told you he didn't want you to divorce your husband either.
More than him, it was, this friend who was frightening me all the time.
We had a friend, very good friend, whom I don't want to mention, but he was thinking of me only. He had that typical way of thinking as we do in India. Log kya kahenge? Ye izzat ki sawal hai. All this thing, and that got into me also. I said, my God, already I had enough bad reputation here and there, so I didn't want to really get her into any worse situation, not for me only, but for her as well. So all that stopped my taking this full decision, of having a child, or even for her divorcing. I thought if we could be in love and have a relationship, but because there was, as far as I know, and she said, and it's true, she had nothing to do with her husband for those few years since I met her.
And also he said our relationship could get us nowhere because he was still married at that time.
Yeah, I was not divorced.
He was not divorced.
And I was living with someone else. Actually, someone else
people.
and someone else in
two very
another
serious
country.
relationships.
Really.
And he also had another daughter who people didn't know about, you see. So
You knew about her?
Yes, I knew about her.
Have you met her?
Yes, now I have. Last year, she came and stayed with us. She's lovely, she's just like Anoushka.
How amazing.
And this year she came and spent Christmas with us, and Anoushka and she are very fond of each other now. And
How old is she?
she's 2 years older than Anoushka, she's 19. Beautiful, looks just like him.
But you continue to live in your married home for 2 years after Anoushka was born?
Yeah, I told my husband straight away when I had my affair with him. And he again was one of those people who didn't want people to know about it. So he says, do whatever you want, but let people not know.
Difficult.
And especially he had an old mother, and he was afraid to shock her and that she would die and all that.
Yeah.
So I had two games to play. But in my mind, I knew what I wanted, whatever people said. I told my very dear friends, all of them knew that I was going to have a baby, and the baby was Raviji's.
But living at home, there must have been a lot of pressures.
Oh yeah, living. It was very difficult.
Very difficult.
I mean,
Very
when people
difficult.
came, we
That
had to
was really
smile and
difficult period for
we had
all
to
of
smile
us.
and talk to people. The second the people went, of course, my ex-husband would just not look at me and just walk away. And
Yeah.
it was a difficult time.
So then you decided to leave, walk out.
Irrespective of whether he was going to, be with me or not, because I was threatened that he would never see me again.
He told you that.
Well, his friend told me that.
I mean, I was very much influenced by my friend, as I said, to not to get more involved and make a mess. It was a mess already, but
I'm surprised to hear you say that you were so influenced by him. I would not imagine that.
I'm myself surprised. Believe me, I mean, I don't know what.
That man somehow had a great hold on him, somehow. I don't know what it was. It was very strange, because even when he decided to be with me, I couldn't believe it until he said, I'm prepared to cut off from him,
Oh,
Then I knew he was serious.
really? It was
Yes.
that strong a hold, Panditji?
Yes, it was.
And also at that time, I was almost so confident that I could manage everything, excepting when this happened, the child and her, whether to divorce or not divorce. But before that, because it was like, again, a cliche, like a sailor, my life, I had a different life in India, family, everything. Then I had another person. Then in the West I had another establishment. So it was something which was normal to me, you know.
Gosh, Sukanya, it must be such an extraordinary love that you felt, that you were
Oh,
ready
yes.
to take on
That's
so much.
very
That is
strong.
true, absolutely true, really. I mean, what she went through is something, I feel very, very sad when I think of it.
Anoushka was born in 81.
81.
Did you tell Anoushka whose daughter she is? At what age?
You see, I always made her call him Baba, you know,
Hmm.
right from the time she knew him as Baba. And I told her as soon as she could understand. But you know, very strangely, when she was about 2, she looked at the television, watching him play, and she says, Baba looks like me, doesn't he?
How amazing.
And that's what everyone said.
And then it was so difficult, Simi, because I couldn't take her out anywhere where he would be, because he told me, because people would recognize, because she looked so much like him.
Yes, that's true. You must have a lot of regrets that you didn't share those early years of Anoushka's growing up.
I do. You know, I had a son.
Yes.
Unfortunately, he died about 5, 6 years ago. With him also, I didn't have the chance to spend time like usually a father does, you know. And exactly same thing happened with Anoushka also. I couldn't give her that much time for all this period till we were married. So that has been always my, I feel like a curse to me.
He's wonderful with
But
her.
that's something which I feel very sorry about myself. It's my fault.
When did you meet Anoushka first?
I met her when she was about 2 months old.
Yeah, 2 months old.
How did you feel, Panditji?
Well, I felt, but you see, I was trying to restrain myself. I didn't want to get involved, and because at that time it was that period when she was not divorced and no one knew about it. So I didn't want to make it worse by, so I was forcing myself to be, you know, it hurt me so much, but
But you know, he came that day, came home, and I cooked for him. And he went, I said, take care of her while I go and make the rice. you know.
Yeah.
So he was upstairs rocking her and singing for her. you know.
And you were happy with that little love that you were getting, Sukanya?
Yes, I was.
It was enough.
That was enough, and I would look forward to the next time. It could be 6 months later, 1 year later, whatever.
And you were happy to continue your life like that?
Yes, I was.
But then
I
one,
wouldn't say you
But
were happy,
actually-
but somehow I don't know how you.
I didn't have
did it.
any other choice, you know. I mean, what could I do? I mean, I could phone him
No,
and say, I'm
anyone
leaving you.
else might not have gone through that.
But I loved him so completely that it was like, how can I put it? You know, like, either it's like asking for something, you know, and whenever you get something, you're so happy that happens.
Yeah.
You're not going to throw it out.
Even that
Say,
little
I don't
bit.
want that, yeah. you see?
Even that little
Yeah.
bit.
But it was much easier once Anoushka was born, actually, because my whole attention, you know, turned on her, and I knew who she was.
And she was a
And
part of him.
Yes, that's it. She was part of him, you know, and when she turned to look, and it turned out to be just like him. I couldn't have asked for anything more. And again, when she was about, you know, a few months old, she was so musical, you know. She was, when I was pregnant, I used to go and sit near the loudspeaker and put his music on and say, here, because they say babies hear, you know, much before they are born, and I would do that. And
That's why I think she picks up so quickly. She must have already.
Yes. But it is true what she's saying. That's what medical science has proved.
Right.
I did that all the time. I didn't watch any movies. I didn't put the television on because just, you know, in case I watched something which is not good or which affect me. I went for walks. I saw beautiful things, heard beautiful music, and I was, you know, you can imagine the contentment I had when I was pregnant. You know, that I had him. You see.
That's true. So when did you decide to get married, Panditji? What made you decide?
I think around 28 or so, all of a sudden I felt enough is enough. You know, I can't cope up with so many establishments and so many demands, and also I felt so guilty, especially as far as she and Anoushka, and I didn't hesitate even to say goodbye to, not actually goodbye, but sadly leave my other person with the child in the West, and I just decided like that.
Well, I didn't expect marriage at all.
You'd resigned yourself
Yeah,
not to.
I was happy and to bring her up on my own and see him whenever I can.
I took her to
For the
Budapest
first time
to
he
play
took me
tantra.
with him to Budapest. That was the first time I went out of
Play
London.
tantra with me in for my
Okay.
concert.
We were expecting some guests, his students and some people. Then he said, "You be here and I'll call you." Then I said, "Oh well, he's hiding me again, you know." I said, "Fine, so I'll stay inside. When he's finished, he'll call me." Then all of a sudden he called me. I went and he said, "This is my fiance." You know? Believe me, Simi, you know,
I can't believe.
And then they ring me.
I just I couldn't believe it at all. You know? And then he called me aside afterwards and said, "Look, I don't know about marriage or anything, but I'll introduce you as such."
Oh, just.
Yeah, right, yeah. And I said, "Fine, okay." I mean, I knew he had a child. I knew he had so many women who he lived with. Even then, I didn't have any hope of being with him or anything. And then one day he phones me and he invited us to go to India for some time. I was living in London at the time, so. And he said, "Come on such and such a day and you must come to Banaras and meet my brother." That was, you know, a shock to me. Oh, he's going to introduce me to his family, you see. And then he said, "It's a good day." I said, "Good day for what?" He said, "There's a temple nearby, we'll go and get married."
Oh, Jesus.
He proposed to me.
Beautiful temple near Hyderabad city, Shiva temple.
God.
And
But that was important for you,
I
that
had a-
ceremony, wasn't it?
It was, yes. I didn't want anything in paper or anything, but it meant, you know, that commitment from him, as far as Anoushka was concerned, especially.
And it makes a difference also, as you were saying.
Society, it makes a lot of difference.
You've been together now 26 years from the first.
From 26 years, out of which we've had an affair from 78, which makes it 21 years.
21 years. Sukanya, what keeps the relationship so strong and vibrant?
Love. There is so much love even now. You know.
I know.
It has been growing. I mean, I love him much more than I did then.
What do you get from him?
A lot.
Tell me.
He's a wonderful husband.
Yeah.
So giving. So giving. I think that's what kept all the women with him for so many years. Okay, we Indians have this, you know, bondage, we look up to our men and all that. But what about all the Western women who stuck to him for years and years and years? Because when he gives himself so totally. I think the essence is so strong, it keeps them going for a long time.
I can't understand what you mean by that. I truly.
tell what? Understand what?
The love is so intense. He treats me like a goddess when he does, yes. You know, like it's wonderful. So that's why I think even though I had him for short periods, it was so intense. I couldn't even look at another person. Even now he quotes me. I mean, it's so loving, the whole relationship, you know. It's like not, I don't want to go into details, but it's not like just, you know, night time or whatever time. It's like the whole time he's quoting me. He's making love all the time. He's looking at me with so much love. He's very special.
So are you, Sukanya. I think, you know, if you're lucky to have him, I think he's also very lucky to have you. What has she brought to your life, Panditji?
She has brought peace in my life because it was such a turmoil always. Apart from the whole sentimental side, she has also taken so much weight out, my worries, everything. So I rely on her completely. For the first time, have this full trust.
She takes such good care of you. I don't
Absolutely.
know anyone who takes this kind of care.
I'm amazed myself.
But Sukanya, you worry too much about him, don't you?
He's so precious. I now know my priorities. I know I'm the wicked person to the world because I'm always saying no, and I'm always the one who is, trying. But for me, he matters the most, and my priority is him.
Nothing else matters.
I just like to say one thing. There's only one person I feel guilty about, taking him away from, and that's the lady who gave almost 20-25 years of her life to him.
That's true.
Kamalaji. That's the only guilt I have. But I'm very close to her even now. She's part of us. Whenever I can, I go and see her, and I always tell her, if ever, because she's so much older than me, she needs somebody to take care of, I'll take care of her, and Anoushka will take care of her.
It's true.
But she loved him just like I love him.
You make me feel even more guilty.
Now I'm looking forward to meeting Anoushka. You said to me you had Panditji's daughter. You've actually cloned Panditji. Do you know that? Spitting image. Do you look in the mirror and you see him, or do you look in the mirror and you see her?
Yeah, more in person. Like when people take photographs of us together, like on stage, and we happen to be looking in the same direction or something, it's scary.
It certainly is. If you saw the resemblance, your mother was just telling me when you were about 2 or 3.
I know. I don't remember that, of course.
You don't?
I was too young, but when you're that young, you don't question what you're brought up with, and so it never seemed strange to me that I called him Baba and I called the man that my mom was married to Papa. I mean, that it wasn't strange to me. I never thought about it. If I'd been older, it would have been different from everybody else, and I would have come and asked my mother what's going on. But I was too young, and then they got divorced, and I still called him Baba, and then they got married, and he really was my Baba.
But only difference that you call me Bapi now.
Except now I call him Bapi.
What are your first memories of your father?
I remember he came to London, and it was my 4th birthday, and my mom was having a party for me, and I was waiting upstairs, and I didn't want to go down to the party. And looking back, I think it's because he wasn't there, and I wanted him to be there. And I remember I was looking out of my mother's bedroom window, and I saw this car pull up, and I saw him come out, and I ran down the stairs, and he'd brought me 4 party dresses because it was my 4th birthday.
How lovely.
Even this is when she was much younger, when she was 1.5, 2, we would be, not in public place, but family, friends, whatever. And she would insist on going and holding his leg, or being with him, dunking her biscuit.
Drinking from his tea.
From his tea cup only.
Had to.
This is all very strange, this whole blood line connection. It really makes you believe in these
Absolutely.
things. You're not just father and daughter, you're also teacher and student, aren't you? Tell me truly, does the father take over the teacher?
Yes. No, it's been such a combination of both that it's hard for me to separate the two.
But he's been very strict with his other, students.
He's been a little less strict with me. But at the same time, I started learning when I was so young, like 9. I mean, if he'd yell at me, I'd start bawling. So he had to be nicer with me because I couldn't take it otherwise.
And his heart would melt. But did the daughter take over the student?
I don't know.
Did you take advantage of that?
No.
Never.
No. Did I?
How did you behave with him in the music room?
Differently. There's a whole atmosphere in the music room that's so different from the rest of the house that automatically when we walk in there's a different feeling, and I see more of the guru side of him then, and I do become a bit more quiet and a bit more subdued, and I wouldn't argue with him as much as I would outside if we were sitting in front of the television or something.
Do you argue then?
We debate.
What language do you debate in?
It depends. If I don't want my mom to know what we're saying, we speak in French. But
Terrible, huh?
but otherwise we speak in English or Bengali.
And when they want to say something, they speak in Tamil.
Then he doesn't know what we're saying.
And when they go to Madras, they speak Bengali. So
It's a good arrangement.
Such a great arrangement. Anoushka, you switch between the piano and the sitar with ease, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Does it thrill you more to get appreciation for being a pianist or a sitarist?
You know, that's quite a hard question, because on one side I love when people recognize the piano's importance in my life, but on the other side, sitar is the more difficult thing that I do, not just as an instrument, but the fact that I play it in itself and that I'm compared to him. So having that complimented means a lot.
The New York Times has said that you provide your father with a living legacy. Do the expectations get to you, Anoushka?
More expectations from the outside world
Yeah.
will get to me, because it's less to do with who I am as a person and solely to do with the fact that I'm his daughter, and they take it for granted that of course I'm going to play, and of course I have to continue his legacy, and I have to be as good, but of course I never will be. And it's the strangest feeling. But on a more personal level, it's not that strange, because it's a standard that I hold myself to, that I want to succeed and to do that.
So are there upsides and downsides to being Pandit Ravi Shankar's daughter?
Much more upsides.
For sure. You in high school
I graduated in June.
in California?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, how is your heart, your mind, and your soul placed?
I think my heart and my soul are very Indian, but my mind, I think, is more Western.
You've got the best of both worlds, educated there in tradition and the culture of India. I'm very curious to know what a mind like yours and of a girl of your age, what you see are the differences here in India and in America.
It's quite strange, because on one side I see 17-year-old girls who are trying so hard to match up to the ideal of what they think the Western 17-year-old girl would be, and they wear the shortest skirts that they can and put as much hairspray in their hair as they can and sneak out in the middle of the night and go to discotheques, and that's what they think it should be about, and it's kind of strange. And then I see the women who are so conservative that I want to scream, because they're still so stuck in those backward ideals of we don't need more rights.
Are you very strict with her?
No, they're really not.
You see, as long as I know, all the boys who come home, all her friends, whoever, she's gone out a little bit or whatever, they're all very, very nice boys.
But Panditji, you also said that she's like you because she's overly romantic.
She is.
I'm sure it's the genes.
She's always falling in love.
I am in love with love, like he is, definitely.
You're not allowed to have boyfriends till you're 18.
She has lots of boyfriends.
You mean?
She has lots of boyfriends. As long as she has lots of boyfriends.
But one boyfriend.
No,
When I was
really. When I
16,
was
she said
10, she said
18.
13. 13, she said 16. Then she says 18. I'm turning 18 in June. I wonder what's going to happen then.
But isn't he going to be possessive of her?
He doesn't
have to.
like
I
it.
have to be,
I am very
playing.
old-fashioned.
And he's very jealous, too.
I'm very jealous, yeah.
How are you going to get round to your father?
But she doesn't bother.
So tell me, Anoushka, what have you learned from seeing your parents' marriage?
It's going to be very hard for me to be happy in a marriage, watching them. Because they have the most amazing relationship that I've ever seen in my life. It just astounds me every day. I don't know if I'll ever find anything like that. They've been married for 10 years now, and however long they've been together, and they still act like they just got married this morning. They always, like at the dinner table, they have these looks, like they just kind of look at each other, and it's so cute, and my mom will start giggling, and he'll start swinging his legs a little bit. And they always hold hands under the table, and when they walk together, they're always, I see. They play footsie, and they hold hands, and he always tells her that she looks beautiful when she gets dressed up. and she like fawns over him, like she does this.
And I can keep my face straight, but she cannot. She always.
She starts giggling, and she loves to embarrass him in public with romance. She starts cuddling him and doing this whole thing, and he starts to blush. It's incredible. They just are eternally newlyweds. It's amazing.
And when you're at home, do you have music playing all the time in the Shankar household?
All the time, all kinds of
All
music.
kinds.
In different rooms?
No,
Classical, Western.
We all have liking for symphonic music, very classical Western music. Then all this, the film type of music, like Doris Day, old things.
Oh, the oldies.
And then like
or the music of Barbara Streisand,
Yes.
that sort of thing.
And
She has the
Sting.
The
latest.
Sting. Oh, the
Oh,
song.
Sting.
So beautiful.
I love jazz, good jazz, but not the modern cerebral jazz,
yeah, my sister, she plays
So
jazz piano and
musical.
she sings. She's
Yeah,
amazing.
she's very good.
It's in her blood just as much.
Okay, Panditji, tell me which is your all-time favorite song.
One
You
song,
have to sing 2 lines from
that
it.
is impossible.
Oh, any.
Any.
Well, सपने में आए प्रीतम सैया सपने में आए हम सकीनी मीठे मीठे बतिया सपने में आए
Wonderful. Anoushka, your turn.
Come on.
The one that he wrote for you, Sundara Shama.
All right then, okay, sing it.
Come on. Right.
सपने में छवि दिखलाई सुंदर श्याम
मूर्ति मनोहर सपने में यह छवि दिखलाई
करदर मुँह से
कीनी बतिया करदर मुँह से कीनी बतिया नींद टूट गई मैं पछताई सुंदर श्याम मूर्ति मनोहर सपने में यह छवि दिखलाई
This I composed for them both.
No, that was Mummy's.
Mummy's
my favorite too.
It's beautiful. Sukanya, how do emotions go through you when you watch Anoushka perform?
I don't know if there's any hell or heaven after life, but if there is any heaven, I think this must be it. Because I'm just so content, so happy.
Listen, I have loved meeting all of you. I think you are a beautiful family. And I want to thank you for this rendezvous.
God bless you. Thank you.